Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's podcast episode. This week, I am excited to announce that I have a special guest. This is Joanna Petri-Rout, who is the founder of No Ordinary Woman, or as she likes to call herself, the Chief Inspiration Officer, which is just incredible. So I've known Joanna for some time now, as she used to be my boss in the corporate world and has recently escaped to do her full-on dream. So thank you for coming, Joanna.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's so good to be back with you.
I can't believe we're now talking in this remit where it's full freedom and stepping into becoming that woman that you've always dreamed of and finally letting yourself just be her. So I'll let you explain what you do and your journey and how you've got to this stage of now being your Chief Inspiration Officer.
Oh, perfect. I don't even know really where to begin because I know we talk about it being a journey, but this has felt like a journey. And I know you have lived most of this with me, which has also been epic, actually. So what I do is I predominantly work with women, and I'm starting to kind of label them as unconventional because I think that's what my life has been. It's been pretty unconventional. So I really help women who have got a dream in their heart that they really want to go for and have either not had the self-belief or the courage or the network of people around them to really cheerlead and support them to actually go for it. That's where I kind of come in. I step in and really help them develop that self-confidence, that self-leadership, and get real clarity about what it is they actually want to do and the confidence to actually go and do it.
Yeah. And I mean, I've seen you do that with so many people, but what's been your background? What's got you on this journey? I mean, I know, so it's exciting for me to hear it though from another lens. But for someone listening, like what was your corporate world like, and how did that shape who you are today, offering this?
Yeah. So I've worked in corporate for more years than I care to mention, but I've literally just, walked away from a 36-year corporate career and I've absolutely loved it. So very early on, I started in banking, which I know we have, a very similar background actually.
Yeah.
Started in banking when I was 17, and from the minute I walked into the bank, I knew that I didn't want to do traditional banking. And I saw somebody stand up in front of me and run a induction course. And I can remember sitting there thinking, oh my goodness, this is what I want to do. I want to be the person who stood up and helping other people achieve what they want to achieve, grow and develop. And so very quickly from banking, I went into training and development and then leadership development. And that's pretty much been my whole career. Trained as a coach about 20 years ago now, which again doesn't feel possible. And I think at that point, I really realized that that is where my heart and my soul really was at peace, helping other people achieve the things that they really want to do,
Yeah.
unlocking the potential that they've got and helping them move in that direction. So that's kind of my background.
We do have similar backgrounds in that, but I love that even from that first session, you knew what you wanted to do, and it shaped in a different way initially, but it was still growing and helping and seeing that, unlocking that potential in people. And that journey just evolves as you go through life. And obviously you've been through your own things that's pivoted your journey, but tell us a bit more around that unconventional side and what's really lit the spark inside of you to want to help people in your own business.
Yeah. So this unconventional theme, I think, has gone throughout my life. So at the age of 40, I was still not married. I hadn't found the one. Everybody around me had, my friends, my family, everybody else was settled. And I was labeled as the career girl. Um, and I was very lucky. I had a great career. I'd worked in some great organizations, and I really enjoyed what I was doing. But I think at the age of 40, I had a brilliant year celebrating that milestone, and it felt great. But I also felt like things were unraveling a little bit.
Mm.
So I wasn't quite enjoying the role as much. I was living out of a suitcase. I was traveling week in and week out. I wasn't spending time with family and friends, and it just felt like my life was a bit soulless.
Yeah.
Um, and so the universe, I think, this is probably my first experience of the universe really kicking my butt. And a string of events happened towards the end of that year, and I ended up leaving my job really unexpectedly. And so I was home for a period of time. And I, again, this is a real weird little coincidence. I had been dabbling with online dating. And I hated it. I really did. I hated it with an absolute passion. I just found it completely soul destroying. But I suddenly got a notification in my emails telling me that my subscription had renewed for a year. And so at this point, I was like, oh, I've just lost my job. I don't really want to be spending this kind of money. I'm like, what am I going to do? So I thought, right, I'm going to have to suck it up. So I'm going to completely rewrite my profile, which I did, and I made it into a poem all about me and my personality. I posted it online, and literally the next day, Rob got in touch with me. And I'll cut a very long story short, but Rob and I met for the first time in that February. We got engaged in the July, and we got married the year after in the April. So it
Wow.
literally was, it's my little fairy tale, that is.
Probably within your subscription.
I know. When I look back now, I see all the little universal nudges that
Yeah.
have kind of got me to where I am. And that was one of them, because what that did was make me move up to Cumbria, where I
Yeah.
met you. And actually took a year off. Rob and I talked about taking a year off. We both wanted to be parents. We were both 40 at this point, and we knew that wasn't going to be particularly easy. So we decided to take work out of the equation and give me the opportunity to really think about what I wanted to do, because I was
Yeah.
kind of losing my passion for leadership development a little bit. So I did. But honestly, that year that I sat back, I can remember literally typing into Google, how do I find my purpose?
Yeah.
And not getting any response at all. There was no support, there was no help, and I kind of spiraled. And then the job came up locally to go and head up leadership development, and so I stepped back in.
Yeah.
And that's obviously where we met. Um, but I think from there, what I really kind of got back invested in leadership development. I really enjoyed it. I was given a very senior role. I was asked to lead a leadership academy, and created that from a blank piece of paper. So I felt kind of inspired again. But along the way, we were still trying to have a family. That wasn't working. And so we did this crazy thing. We decided, instead of having a nice summer holiday where we would go and lay by a pool, we would go and walk the coast to coast, which
Yeah.
is one side of the country to the other, 200 miles. And we did that. And I think that really is the start of my big story.
Yeah.
Um,
Carry on, Joanna. What happened on that walk? What was the revelation that you had?
So I don't know if you've walked any kind of big walks like that, but
No.
what you find is it literally it puts you inside your soul, really. You are concentrating all the time, just putting one foot in front of another, or in my case, with the hugest blister I've ever had, trying to just even get my foot into my boot.
Wow.
You just spend a lot of time kind of in your head, in your heart, really thinking about what life is all about.
Mm.
And during that walk, I came to a real conclusion that my path wasn't going to be being a mother. And, we'd tried IVF, that had failed. We'd done everything we could possibly could. And I think Rob and I were probably just completely exhausted by it. And
Mm.
so I got this really strong intuitive hit that it was time to kind of put that dream to bed. And so we did that. We agreed on that walk that that's what we would do.
Yeah.
And I think as soon as I came back from that, I really started connecting back into my my kind of love affair with the law of attraction, because I'd
Mm.
kind of dipped in and out of it over the last few years. And I really started to see my intuition coming back in. And it was telling me that I was meant to help other women who had found themselves in that situation where they just knew they were frustrated, knew
Yeah.
they didn't want the life that they were living, but didn't know what came next. And, we're Googling, where's my purpose? What is my
Yeah.
purpose? And I knew I needed to help them. And so that was where No Ordinary Woman was born.
Oh, I love that.
Um, but it took me a very, very, very long time from that decision point to actually get to a point where it is now my lived reality.
Yeah. And you have been doing it. I mean, we've known each other for a while now, and you've been doing it, and it's been on the back burner and it's never died. You just, I suppose, that identity of you were always called the career girl. You
Yeah.
kind of brought that with you when you come up north. But you don't just shed that easily, do you? So I think, you had that in your mind, and I've probably just witnessed over the last year, 18 months, that has been slipping away slowly and, gently to get you to exactly where you were meant to be. And sometimes you've got to release those things, haven't you? But it takes, well, maybe a big walk that gets you to that place, or something else that catapults you to it, but you always get back to where you're meant to be, really.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I said, I think when I look back now and I see all of the times the universe has walked alongside me,
Yeah.
and there's been so many times where they've gone to me, are you sure you really want to run a business? Because I'm going to dangle this opportunity over here and see if you take it. And without fail, up until this year, every time that opportunity has been dangled, I've taken the safe route.
Yeah.
And I've gone, no, do you know what? I am going to play it safe. I am going to just stay in corporate because I'm enjoying what I'm doing. And I did enjoy it. The last
Yeah.
few years working with you and the stuff that we've done together, it's been brilliant. And I've enjoyed it until I've got to a point where I haven't. And
Yeah.
it's such a parallel to when I was 40. Um, but this year has just been so if anyone ever doubts about the universe, this story, I hope, will completely turn it on its head, because it has given me so many goosebumps. I
Yeah.
can't even tell you. So probably like you, beginning of the year, I always choose a word for my year, which becomes my context.
Yeah.
And this year I decided I was going to choose trust. And it felt like that word chose me in a way, because I was there on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day going, oh, I need to choose my word for the year and I don't know what it's going to be. And it took me a while for it to land. And it kind of landed towards mid-January, and it just felt right. And I was like, this is my word for me as much as it is for the universe. I need to trust in the universe, and I know I need to trust in myself more. And
Yeah.
so that word kind of landed, and I got into the tarot cards. So I did myself a reading for the year, and I picked a card basically for every month. And I can remember looking at the cards and saying to Rob, oh, this year is going to be interesting, because this is kind of saying that something's going to happen in March, and then a big transformation is going to happen in May and June. And I've got no idea what that is. And I know you're smiling because you've lived this with me and you know
Yeah.
what's coming. Um, so in March, I was asked to speak at an event. And the spooky thing around this was the event was originally going to be scheduled for November last year, and it got changed.
Right.
So they wanted me to speak specifically for International Women's Day. And the topic was about having an unshakable identity. And I can remember being told, do you know what, Joanna, there'll probably be about 20 people that will come to this. That's typically what we get. So I was like, okay, that's fine. That's no problem. And then I got phoned the week before and was told 80 women had signed up for it.
Wow.
So yeah, I noticed a little bit of my identity suddenly take a bit of a wobble, knowing that there was going to be so many people in the room. but I went and I ran the session and I absolutely, it could not have gone better. It was one of those moments where you just walk out of somewhere and just think to yourself, that was meant to be.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm meant to be doing. And I got so much positive feedback about it that I almost felt a bit uncomfortable about it because people were saying to me, oh, this has been life changing. And
Wow.
it was just a real mirror for me to go, you really need to get your act together. This is what you're meant to be doing. So that was brilliant. And the card that I'd pulled for that month was the card about being an influencer and using your voice. So
Wow.
I noticed a bit of a synchronicity there. I was like, oh, that's spooky. And then straight after that, so the International Women's Day was on the Saturday, but I did the talk on the Thursday. I went into our corporate business on Monday
Mm.
and got asked to join a meeting. And the meeting was about the opportunity for senior leaders, the top 160, to be given an early exit from the business, so to take redundancy. And I can remember being sat in that meeting room, just seeing people's lips moving, and all I could hear was my soul going, this has been created for you. This is your moment,
Yeah.
and this is what you've got to do. So I I walked away from that just knowing that there was an opportunity coming. And it just so happened that I had my last call with my coach, who I was
Mm.
working with, about a week later. So I got on the call and I was saying to her, oh my goodness, you're never going to guess what's happened. I'm being given this opportunity. This has come from nowhere. The business hasn't done this for the 12 years that I've worked there. And she said to me, do you remember what your original goal was when we started working together in January last year? So I said, well, actually, I can't. We've talked about so many things.
Yeah.
I can't remember. And she said to me, your exact goal was, I want to leave my corporate job within 18 months. She said, do you know when you're likely to be leaving? And I said, yeah, I'm likely to be leaving in either May or June.
Wow.
So she said, okay. She said, I'm just going to let you know that will be 18 months from the day that I've just gone goose pimple. I've just
Yeah.
got goose pimple. Um, so all of these synchronicities just kept coming.
Yeah.
And I could literally feel in my soul that this was the universe providing everything that I need, and that everything that I'd been working for over the last few years was really coming together. Um, so another synchronicity that I had was I then had to tell my boss. So when I'd made the decision that I was going to take it and I was going to go, I put a meeting in with my boss, and it was for 11 o'clock on this particular day. And so I was quite nervous about telling her, and I was sat in this office waiting for her, and she was late. And I can remember just sitting there getting more and more anxious about having to have this conversation. And she eventually came in the room. She sat down and like got her notepad and her pen out, ready to probably give me a load of actions to do. And I said to her, I need to have a conversation with you. And so there was a pause. I just looked down at my phone and it was 11:11 as I told her that I was about to
Wow.
take this opportunity and leave the organization. And I was thinking, my goodness, I've over the last few years, I have absolutely come at my business through masculine energy all
Yeah.
the time. And I have not taken the opportunities that have been available to me. When I've had those carrots dangled in front of me by the universe, I've always taken the easy route and never taken the hard one, even if my soul wanted it.
Yeah.
And it's been a real lesson for me in the, when you trust, when you step back into trust, and when you blend your feminine energy with the drive that you have and the ambition that you have through your
Mm.
masculine, that's when the magic really does happen. And that has just been so obvious for me
Yeah.
this year. It's just been mad.
And that's been so good for me to watch because, I mean, we got together and started working together maybe 2019, was it?
Yeah.
And through that time, I've seen the journey and I knew where your heart lies. And one of my gifts is that I see that future version of people, and I see it playing out. And so I've known this ever since we met and seen it playing out, and different points where you've had those carrots dangled. I've been sat on the sidelines, and at that point we were close, but nowhere near like we are now. And sat there thinking, oh wow, like she's not taking it. Like what's happening? Is she gonna? And being able to sit there and watch, and I think even watching that unfold, I did wonder at certain points, why isn't she just diving into her business? But then this year's really unfolded, this last 18 months, and that's been me and you really working closely together and getting to know each other, and building those connections where we've actually had each other's back and coached each other when we've needed it. And I think knowing that actually was meant to happen, and then you were meant to get the lovely handoff that you did, and seeing it all come together in a different light, but also seeing your business evolve, because you have over that time brought in more feminine energy and connected back in with your intuition. And so even though it felt like a delay, it was always timed right to get you to do the right business and the right energy. And I get to watch that as a viewer, like, my God, the universe really does not let you down at all. And you're living proof of it.
I know. I definitely feel that. And you talked about what was happening for us maybe 18 months ago.
Mm.
When I built that academy, so when I had that opportunity, and literally I was 1 foot out of the door
Yeah.
of corporate at the point where the academy opportunity came up. And at the time, it just felt like it was too good not to stay and to build something. And I really felt like that was my corporate legacy, to
Yeah.
stay and do that project. But the problem, I think, was because it literally took all of my creative energy. I felt like that was almost my baby.
Mm.
And so it would have been really hard for me to make the decision to step away from it. Even no matter how much I wanted to go into my
Yeah.
business, there was always that pull back to, hold on a minute, you've built something, you want to see it through. But you'll probably know where I'm going with this. The synchronicity that happened last year that was painful for both of us
Mm.
was we saw the funding for that project get pulled.
Yeah.
And so 1 minute we were continuing to roll out the program in the academy that we had done for 3,500 people.
Mm.
And overnight, literally, the rug was pulled out from underneath us. And we were in a situation where we didn't have the funding. We knew we couldn't continue to deliver it. We didn't really know what we were going to be doing for the next 12 months. And I think that has been beautiful in terms of us being able to work together and see ourselves both through that.
Yeah.
But when I look back again now, I look at that and go, that decision had to happen for
Mm.
me, because I would have never stepped away from it because I was too invested in it. And
Yeah.
it was only really at the point that it went that I was able to sit back and go, no, everything is aligning. I mean, they talk about the stars aligning. I genuinely feel like the stars aligned this year, and
Yeah.
every step I've needed has been presented to me. It's just been amazing.
And that's the thing, the universe will deliver everything you need. Unfortunately, it's not always wrapped in a nice basket of flowers. Sometimes it does deliver us brutal news in order to get us on the right path. And it doesn't bring good or bad, it just brings a situation. And when you look back at your story, so you look back at, you having to decide to give up, continuing to try and have kids, and that wasn't for you anymore. And then, like you say, that other baby being pulled away from you, those decisions, if you think it was all about you helping all these women and doing it in that way and supporting you to do that. And, heartbreak is a way to describe getting through it, but actually you imagine if you were a mother to one or two, you wouldn't be doing this legacy building that you're doing now that's going to absolutely change the world.
No. And I so strongly believe that. I believe that everything that's happened in my life was meant to happen and it happened at the perfect time. You know, if I think about when I met Rob, the kind of jobs that I was doing, I was away so much
Yeah.
that I that job that I was doing at that time had to be taken away from me in order for me to be able to spend the time I did with Rob and for us to be able to recognize that we were soulmates and, get married as quickly as we did. I wouldn't have been able to do that if I was still traveling the country, living out of a suitcase and not being able to see him. So the timing of that was perfect, but I know the universe intervened there and moved that job out of my way. And I feel like that about the infertility as well. I feel like that was absolutely as heartbreaking as it was.
Yeah.
I absolutely feel like that was part of my story and
Yeah.
my life experience that helps me be who I am now and have the courage and resilience to be able to take the steps that I'm taking.
Mm,
And I wouldn't have been able to do that if I'd have had a family.
yeah.
Part of mine and Rob's future is that we are being unconventional again
Mhm.
next year and we are selling our house. We're selling all of our possessions. We're going to get two big rucksacks and we're going to go and do a 500-mile walk from France to Spain and then get on a plane and go traveling. And we don't know where we're going to end up living. We
Yeah.
don't know how long we're going to be doing it for. We're literally just going to go somewhere, see how long we want to be there, and then decide where we go next. I mean, at the point where a lot of people are settling down and looking to retirement,
Yeah.
Rob and I Rob and I are going off and traveling the world. And, I've been asked many, many times, is this a midlife crisis you're having or a particularly bad menopause? And I'm like, no, it's not either. It's me actually living what I'm meant to live. This was the path I was supposed to be on. And if my story can help other women who are sitting in situations where they feel like they're surrounded by people who don't get them and are just wanting to sit and settle and wait for retirement in jobs that don't fulfill them,
Mm.
then hopefully they get inspired by what I'm doing and recognize that they can do it too.
I don't think I've met a woman, Joanna, that you haven't inspired,
Well,
honestly.
thank
Even, hearing the stories of people that you've touched at work, or that sounds weird, but you know what I mean.
I do. We were in HR, we weren't allowed to do that kind of
Every
thing.
contact leaves a trace. But I hear the stories and then I see what you're doing. And I know we joke about it, but it is that thing of you are living that unconventional life, and you wouldn't want to settle for the conventional neither. So the fact that you are going off and doing this amazing traveling and then not knowing where you're going to end up or if you're going to end up anywhere, it's incredible. And for somebody listening, I think they're going to be like, wow.
And I honestly think this started by picking trust or allowing
Yeah.
trust to pick me as my word for this year because it is the thing that I have just held on to with everything that has unfolded. I
Yeah.
mean, honestly, if I was to write a book about all the crazy things that have gone on this year, I think it would be a page turner.
Yeah.
I have to pinch myself and go, I started this year not thinking that this was going to be a transformational year. I was thinking that next year, with the
Yeah.
travel and everything, would be transformational. And I thought I would probably see out my corporate career until that point and then try and really go all in on my business as I was backpacking around the world. And that holding of trust has absolutely shown me how powerful that is and how quickly something can change when it's your destiny.
Yeah. Well, it's just skyrocketed you this year, and to be able to watch it and see it unfold has been amazing. But what's next? Obviously, there's the traveling, but you've just launched your new podcast.
I have.
So please
Yeah.
tell us about that.
Okay, so somebody said to me when I literally on my last day, I think it was in our organization, they said to me, "I'm sure you're not going to rest on your laurels." And I laughed because I knew that I was leaving on something like the 19th of June and my podcast was launching on the 20th. So I was like, no, I'm not taking any time. I've waited too long for this, so I'm just going to go for it. So my podcast is Becoming No Ordinary Woman. And I think I'm on episode 10 now. So it
Wow.
just shows how fast time is going. But it's really about sharing bits of my story that I think would resonate and help other people
Mm.
to realize that they're not crazy for having a big dream. Just because they're not surrounded by people who are big dreamers doesn't mean that they can't achieve theirs. So it's been really powerful for me actually being able to do some of those episodes. And what was really important to me is that they were practical for people. So I have a kind of a set framework that I use in my podcast, which is I talk about my story. I talk about the strategies that I personally have used to help
Mhm.
me be successful. I talk about the soul side of that because what I've really connected with strongly this year is that beautiful balance of
Yeah.
it can't just be one thing or the other. It's that beautiful dance between the two. It is soul and it is strategy. And then I always finish off with a tarot card because I mean you have been using tarot for far longer than I have, but it's become a really I'm really passionate about it. I've become
Yeah.
really passionate about it this year, and it's been such a good guide for me that I always kind of like to end each episode with this is what the universal guidance is telling us about this particular topic. So it's really fun. I'm enjoying that as a project. I've got mentoring programs coming out this year. I've got something really powerful called The Shift, which
Ooh.
is going to be launching probably at the end of this month, beginning of September. I'm just testing it with a couple of people now, but
Wow.
that's going to be really helping people dive into one area of their life that they really want to get a quick transformation in.
Yeah.
So it's 90 minutes, really powerful conversation and a blueprint that they walk away with to really help them take some steps
Yeah.
and get some momentum. So yeah, so there's loads of stuff coming. I'm dead excited for it all. I'm really grateful for you inviting me onto the podcast.
Oh, I've loved having you and I love speaking to you all the time anyway, but just to share your story and help others hear that they're not alone and they can have those big dreams and you can make it work for you as well is
Absolutely.
a great
I honestly
takeaway.
believe, yeah, there is nothing you can't have. I genuinely believe that. It took me a while to learn that.
Mm,
Um, but I, yeah, I know we are very similar in this, that I honestly believe that if there's a dream in your heart, it's yours for a reason. Um, and it's just about having the trust and confidence to be able to go for it.
yeah. I was going to ask you, seeing as though you end on a tarot card, what is your final thought? Doesn't have to be tarot related, obviously, but what is your final thought that you'd love to leave the listeners with today?
I think my final thought is it's probably what I've just said more than anything is it's really easy to get swept along in life and to hold on to a dream but feel like it's never going to be yours. And we put so many blocks in the way. We talk about, I can't do this because, there's all the excuses. I'm too old, I'm too young, I don't live in the right place, this isn't meant for me,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. And, that's why I use the word unconventional, because I'm 54 now. I shouldn't be doing the things I'm doing. Textbook and society tells you that you shouldn't be leaving a 36-year career to go all in on a business at the age of 53 when I left. I definitely shouldn't be doing a 500-mile walk, and I definitely shouldn't be selling my house, which I've nearly paid the mortgage off of, to go and do something reckless like sell all my possessions and go and travel the world. But I have never felt more free, more happy or more me in my life. I really haven't.
Love that.
So, if that, I've gone goose pimples again.
Yeah,
Um,
I have.
if that helps anybody, don't ever listen to the all the people who say you can't, because
Yeah.
I absolutely believe, of course you can.
Oh, what an ending. Thank you so much, Joanna. And for everybody listening, I'm going to pop all the links to find Joanna in the show notes. Please follow her journey, work with her. She's incredible. And just thank you for being the best guest. It's been so much fun.
Oh, thank you for being the best host. I missed working with you.
One day, Joanna.
We know.
What an incredible episode. Joanna shared so much gold. And if you take one thing away, please be unconventional. Do not shy away from your dreams. Do whatever is in your heart. Now, I hope you enjoyed that episode as much as me. As promised, I've put all of the links to find Joanna in the show notes. So please go and check them out and have the best week. Being unstoppable.